Then we have to go way back. Way back. What is this? When is this from? Oh my god, I'm so far behind. July 27th. This is from, well, it's from last Tuesday. It's not even 2 weeks old, but it's a little old. It's a little bit old. Flumes are dry. I don't know what any of that is. So we have four things coming out of Korea. On July 27th, we had the user advisories group's opinions about the first discussion topics. And then Max also had the discussion board opinion and developer comments about the first discussion topics on July 30th. And then on August 4th, the early termination of the user advisory group. So that's kind of a roller coaster of stuff that we're going to go through. And then we also have the first Golden Hands Awards preliminary voting. That's for like people designing NX stuff, and we'll go over that as well. So, you know, a little bit of a roller coaster up and down with all this stuff, but I think all of these entries are a reasonable size, so we can go over this all pretty quickly. But so just again to remind people, so this was they redesigned the whole discussion board where they would basically put 2 or 3 topics, and the topics on the board were basically those 2 or 3 topics, the topic board itself, and which other topics you would like to see on the board. Basically, those were like the only 3 places where you could post in, instead of just having it be completely open forum and just, you know, kind of the wild west of. It would be harder for KMS itself to kind of figure out what are all the posts, which posts are connected to which topics, and this way it was way more structured. And what it also will segue into, and we'll get through everything, is of course that since the beginning, the player base in KMS was very, very skeptical of this whole advisory group thing, because they felt that certain players had more control over how the game was going to change than themselves. And you know, with the early termination in here, I think it's a good idea. I think it was a decent idea to be like, oh, we want the players to be represented. And I think it could work if you have a proper structure where those players really do have wide player bases, wide communities where people can give them feedback and they process that feedback and then push it forward as well. But I think it's probably better to not put that on members in that board, and also not give them like, what was it, 500k NX per month, and then not tell anyone. That's probably also not a great idea. But it's probably better to do that through the official channels of the discussion board, and then just have that be like all out in the open, and then have that be the process. Especially if you have a community in KMS that is very, very wary of is a filter of someone in the user advisory group, is that person being like a filter between my opinion and what gets said. Can I trust that, right? If the whole community agrees that that's not really something they want, and how that's being handled is not something that they agree with, then this is probably for the best, especially, you know, considering everything that happened in the last few months. So let's go through everything. New notice has been posted on the homepage. I need a little bit of water. Following the apology from last week, so that was about that they, you know, were paying people in NX and never told anyone. Nexon has released a summary of the discussion they had with their user advisory group about the first 3 topics selected. First 3 topics, let's see if we can remember. It was player progress through the game. It was boss reward reorganization. And it was... Ooh. I remember what the third one was. We'll see. Note that information here is entirely the opinion of the user advisory group and is not a preview of what will be added to the game. Simply a summary of their thoughts with no input from the MapleStory development team. The post will be coming within the week. Okay, so this was from the advisory group. Also, this one was really long and a little bit complicated and hard to understand in certain parts, so I might have made a few mistakes while translating. If you guys see anything that's wrong, please let me know. So again, this is Max, who does these own translations by himself. I assume that he knows Korean, speaks Korean, because otherwise I don't know what he's doing. He's been just guessing really close to being correct for some reason the whole time. But yeah, Orangemushroom blog, give him a shout out, whitelist him for ads and stuff. Makes a lot of really good content for us that we use, so make sure you check him out sometime. So let's see. Hello, this is MapleStory. Well, so not really, but this is the advisory group. I'd like to notify you about the activities of the user advisory group over the past 2 months. Before the full information, we would like to apologize once more for not keeping our promise of organizing and disclosing the content of user advisory group's activities once a month. Yeah, that was the other thing they had to apologize for, is that the player base was basically saying, okay, so they're getting $500 a month and they're not doing anything. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, we don't get any content and they're getting paid apparently. So yeah. Free discussion took place where the user advisory group in the online space provided by the development team, where the user advisory group discussed the 3 items which were listed in the first discussion topics, including the presentation of their opinions. I'm not going to click them here because they'll show up. In this process, the development team provided with the minimal guidance to minimize their intervention in the discussion process. Good. Due to the nature of the online discussion, we decided that there were concerns that if the opinions were summarized and shared in the middle of the discussion process with the user advisory group, the content could not be fully conveyed, and also the opinions of players about the same 3 items being shared through the discussion board would be affected. Since the discussions of the user advisory group and the current topics on the discussion board have both ended, we will now provide the comprehensive... Right, they said that that's how they were going to do things. They didn't want to give like temporary updates because that would maybe poison the well on some things and, you know, make things go crazy while the process was still going. They want to just group everything from the board, everything from the devs, everything from the advisory group, throw it all together and then see what they got. Or, you know, now the same thing saw the user advisory group, I guess. We will now provide a comprehensive list of the opinions. Opinions by the advisory group reviewed together with the opinions given by the players on the discussion board, and we'll get the opinions of the development team and the former development comments by July 30th. Yeah, so that's this one, right? So we'll get into that one in a little bit. I think we could kind of side by side them, but it's gonna circle back into this anyway. So let's see. So boss rewards organization, boss rewards status, and organization direction. There's a feeling that the higher tier of bosses, the lower the rewards are, comparatively, I'm assuming. High-spec users are not motivated. Mid-spec users don't feel the need to become high-spec. Higher tier boss rewards need to be increased to motivate each group. I don't think the rewards need to be increased, but, well, maybe in a sense, but I think there needs to be some kind of pity system, or there needs to be some kind of way of more, at least for reboots specifically, kind of quote-unquote guarantee that after a while of running, you can actually achieve, like, the pitch boss items, without there being some kind of safety net that you, or some kind of guarantee that eventually you will get one. After running for, like, a year and not getting anything, or not seeing anyone who gets anything, that just feels really demotivating. The core of the current boss rewards, like, that's not to say that the rewards are bad, but that they're not there. Like, they exist, but if you don't get them, then you don't really feel that, right? The core of the current boss rewards is mainly based on the price of the intense power crystal, which always drops. This creates a strange structure of CRA mules having excellent investment efficiency, where they are more advantageous than challenging higher tier bosses. I don't know if that's a strange structure. But I do kind of agree, and I've always said this, like, I wouldn't be upset if, like, the Black Mage Crystal is worth, like, 10 bill or something, and all of the members get, like, 1.6 bill for clearing it or something, because it's, like, that's once a month. That could be a huge number, in my opinion. I don't think necessarily every crystal, by comparison of how long it takes, has to go up, because, you know, at a certain point when you're so strong, you can do those lower level bosses in, like, a second, you know, so... You can't really be like, oh, that takes a second. This takes 5 minutes. Therefore, it should be like 300 times the right. That doesn't really work, because it has to be scaled towards still giving good value to someone who can do it at that point, and it will always lose, like, reward efficiency. I think that's normal. You know, because of the exponential nature of how much stronger you need to be to kill the next boss over. Yeah, so therefore it is necessary to show a willingness to adjust boss rewards, even symbolically, by increasing the price of the Black Mages. Okay, so they mentioned the Black Mages specifically as well here. Which, the Black Mage one right now is, I think, 1.5 bill, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're 6-manning it, that's like 250 mil each. That's kind of a joke. Like, that's the same as soloing Hard Lucid. And that's about the same as soloing regular Lotus and Damien together. Like, that's kind of, yeah, those numbers are kind of strange. Provided different rewards based on the number of participants. Soloing a hard boss requires a lot of effort, a lot of time, effort, and investment, but it feels like the rewards are not enough. In particular, as the number of party members increases, the rewards are actually decreased because of the same reward is divided by 1 divided by n. And so the higher tier bosses have lower rewards. If you guys remember in the beginning when this stuff came out, they actually had a kind of formula where it wouldn't be exactly 1 over n. It would be the total value of the crystal will go up by a certain percentage as you had more members. So you would get like slightly more, but from Tespia they've reverted that completely and just did 1 over n to make it simpler. Lower tier bosses are relatively easy to clear, so you can clear them alone and receive all the rewards yourself. Higher tier bosses are difficult to clear, but you have to party play, but then the small base reward is divided by the number of party members. Yeah, again, but I kind of reject that upscalability value having to be the same, because that would be crazy, right? Because if you could do CRA in a second and get 50 mil, because you could just like one tap it with a skill, and another boss is let's say 10 minutes, right? Like doing hard Lotus is 10 minutes. Okay, so now you're looking at like 1 second versus 10 minutes. That's what, 600 times as long, and one is 50 mil, so the other one should be 30 bill for like killing a Lotus. That seems a little bit excessive, right? So there is going to be, because of the exponential nature, there is going to be a lower reward there. So I don't know to which extent they are pushing for this. Like I can see a slight increase being valid, but I don't know how far they want to push it. There's always going to be that reduced efficiency, in my opinion. Okay, I'm just clicking in the chat. Don't do that. Therefore, we think it would be more reasonable to provide rewards that reflect the difficulty of clearing the boss, which changes based on the number of party members, for example, reorganization, so that a person who clears the boss in a party of 1 receives more rewards than a party of 6 because it was more difficult. That would be cool if that was actually the case. If you guys have done any bosses past CRA, you will know that certain bosses are actually more easy solo than they are in a party. And this comes into play with boss targeting, ping desync, extra glitches that come from just from the ping desync. Like certain bosses are actually easier to solo in 20 minutes than doing with a party in 5 minutes. You'll just like die out in 5 minutes because of the weird shit that happens. Versus if you solo, it takes a little bit longer, but you can actually more reliably solo it. You can make sure that that like decoys work. You can make sure that you know where the boss is teleporting and you know where to not be. Like doing a struggle man clown, like a chaos clown party or something, and he's like teleports and you don't know where he's going and he could slap anyone at any time. Like that is just like people drop like flies. But if you're soloing, you'll always know exactly where he's going. Well, kind of, if he's not glitching. But like the amount of glitches exponentially goes down. Now, again, for KMS, with their good ping and like better connections, that might be more the case. But in GMS, sometimes bosses are harder with more people, even though you would expect the opposite because you're doing more damage. But again, so I can understand that in KMS this might make more sense than for GMS. Well, okay, and to reiterate, one of my ideas is basically like a giant overarching boss shop where any kind of boss drops any amount of coins based on the difficulty of the boss. Instance coins, okay, no need to like go through the weird looting stuff, and that shop has all of the items that can possibly drop in it. Every single thing. But the further you go, the more expensive they get. And like the higher end would be like thousands of coins. So if you want to like farm Zakum for 6 years, you could buy, if you want, like an eye patch. Or you could run like actual Damien for a longer period of time and then buy it way faster, right? Something where it basically is like a built-in pity system, plus all the bosses get extra value out of this extra currency. I think that's something that eventually they should probably want to move towards. But let's see what else they all have going on. And also, right, that kind of like... I know all the interjection, but this also kind of ties into my old idea I had of like the coin exchange market thing that I think would be cool if GMS had that. That kind of throws everything into one pile and is like I think a more workable version of that idea. Party recruitment system reorganization. A reorganization of the party recruitment system is needed to make it easier to find party members. In the current boss queue, you can't create the party you want because party members' jobs and specs are not considered. Since a party member's specs are most important when forming parties, create a boss-only spec measurement number called boss damage stat attack and allow us to see that directly in the main recruitment system. Yeah, but that would need that Nexon actually knows how valuable a character is to a party, right? Yeah, I guess as long as they give a number and we know what that number is, the player base can see like, okay, this is the number we want for this class or something, I guess. But yeah, how do you determine what number that should be and what it would represent, of course? Concerned if this number is added, there is a possibility that party members will be evaluated entirely by a numerical value without considering other aspects such as mastery of patterns and clearing. Yeah, that's possible, but that's only idiots who would do that. That's like looking at the score of a league game afterwards and looking at everyone's score and then pretending that you know exactly how the game went and who was the best player and who was the worst player. Some people might look at like score of a league game like that. Those people are just really dumb. There's no way you can have any kind of knowledge about. It's like, oh, someone was 3-4-1. Okay, so they were feeding and they were nowhere to be found. It's possible that they like did all the objectives by themselves and like solo won them the game. That's possible. Like pretending like you can know everything but a number. There is definitely the chance though, but usually as people get further into the game and they know more about the aspects of the game and they themselves have maybe been in a situation where they know that they can do much better but their number is low, the more people get used to this, the more this will just leave the consensus of people, I think. Pitchbot said reorganization. Yes, something needs to happen with that. Please, especially for reboot. High C rewards, Pitchbot said, are items that are very difficult to obtain or the hurdle to acquire them is lowered sharply at this point. It may be reversed. But if the hurdle to acquire them is lowered sharply at this point, it may be reverse discrimination for users that have already acquired them. For non-reboot, yes. For reboot, no. For reboot, it's still 100% RNG, 100% luck. No one who has them has earned them more than anyone who doesn't have them. You can't make any kind of statements like that. Sure, if someone has done like 200 runs and they got them on a 200th run, that's cool, but someone could have just easily got them on their second run, and someone else could have run 200 runs and not gotten them yet. When it comes to non-reboot, they have a monetary value, they're in the market. I think they're tradable and in the market, right? If they are, then for that I can totally understand. Nevertheless, there are very strong feelings due to the deviation in acquiring them currently. Yeah, is necessary to supplement players whose desire to challenge bosses has decreased due to not acquiring the items for a long time. Yes, Reboot World. Due to the nature of Reboot World, where you cannot trade it is difficulty to change your main equipment to the Pitch Boss set while taking the risk of them being destroyed when enhancing them. Yes. Well, kind of yes and kind of no. You probably have 21-star Sweetwater. Again, KMS doesn't have Sweetwater, so that's why for them it's like a big yikes. For us, you probably already have 21 Sweetwater and Monocle by the time that you're going for these items. So even if you do get them, you just have to risk it. If they're not better, it's whatever, you keep what you have. If they are better, then you upgrade them in the other ways, like going for good flame and going for good potential. That's why it's really weird seeing blown up eye patches and blown up berserk that have like 3-line stat and have a really good flame. You're doing it like all backwards. Like work on the Star Force first. If you don't get enough Star Force to make it worth the switch, then don't spend any extra money. Just wait for another drop. Therefore, it is necessary to reorganize them so that after you obtain them, you can no longer obtain another of the same item, like the current Genesis weapons, and the Star Force enhancement costs are greatly increased to eliminate the risk of destruction. So what they're basically advocating for is that if you get an eye patch, you should be able to upgrade it Star Force-wise and be able to safeguard it higher up. But if you do have one, you shouldn't be able to loot another one so that you couldn't like yoink one while your party members still need one, I think, is what they're going for. I can kind of see that. I don't know if that's exactly the change that I would suggest, but again, they're looking at this from the reference frame of KMS. I'm looking at from reference frame of GMS, so I can see how their suggestion would be different than ours. Again, they don't have Sweetwater stuff, right? So their jump is basically, I don't even know what they use as a face accessory. I think they use the Zakum face accessory. They go from Zakum, from the condensed water eye accessory, the condensed power crystal, to Berserked, I think. And then they go from Aquatic Letter Eye Accessory to Papulatus Mark to Eye Patch, I think. Which is... yeah, that is yikes. There's like nothing really there. So yeah, I can see how they would look at other things. Oh, the bead mark, yeah. They use the level 130 accessories. Can you Yeah, but those don't have flame. Oh, yeah, but those don't have flame advantage, right? The ones from Ardent Mill that you have to craft. Did they make the Meister ones? Do those have flame advantage? Ugh. So they actually use crafting. That's pretty cool because GMS like crafting is completely on its ass. We don't use that pretty much for anything. Non-Reboot uses it, but Reboot doesn't really use it. You make shields, and some people make bags, and you make some potions, and then you make Meister rings, and then that's everything. I did a Sweetwater Tattoo. Yeah, but it's level 160, higher tier. You can get backups, so you can get very high Star Force very easily. But yeah, Peacock Pendant. All that stuff. Existing system reorganization and new system additions. Wait, this is still part of the whole boss. Damn, okay. Add a new base reward, Intense Energy Crystal Tentative. As a draw from bosses like Hard Lotus and higher to enhance the sense of rewards from higher tier bosses. You can equip them onto weapons, secondary weapons, or emblems to give them certain stats. The type of effect are different for each boss, so users can attach and detach them. Oh my god, this is a suggestion I had like a year ago. Do you guys remember? This was like an idea I had for a new level of power creep where you could basically use crafting to make like enchantments that you could put in and switch in and out at will onto items, and that you could also like transfer within your account. So you could make like, yeah, kind of like Nebulites. And like my theory was kind of like it would be cool because now that Nebulites are gone, it would be too similar to Nebulites to have, but now that Nebulites are gone, that kind of opens up that possibility. But basically you could be like, okay, you give this item like plus 30% boss because you're bossing, and then you take it off again, and then you give it to another character, and then you use it on that character to boss. Or you switch it with like a 20% drop rate on your weapon or something, you know? Something like that. I thought that would be pretty cool. It's pretty interesting that this is very, very similar to the idea I had like a while ago. There's probably other video games that have similar systems, so that's probably why the idea probably came to some people. Yes, they can be set to grow by clearing the corresponding hard bosses every week, or by trying to enhance them at a certain rate with the collected energy. Oh yeah, that's interesting. This seems a bit too complicated, where it's like one item and then it has a different effect for every boss you're fighting, but then the energy of that specific boss will increase the effect for that boss specifically, but it's still the same item that you can take off and put on. I mean, you wouldn't want like, well, what would they go, like in setup or something? The other thing you have to think about is that you don't want to give people like 15 more items to put in their inventory to like min-max on all the bosses, right? And the other thing is that if somebody switches to another, yeah, you have to make it detachable, because if you switch to another item, you don't have to want to completely restart from zero to level it up. There's something there, though. I mean, I had a kind of a similar system that I thought about, like I said. So there's definitely something in that regard that you could do, I think. Profession fusion system. It would be cool actually if that was account wide, where you could build like profession in. Maybe that could be connected to like boss slayer, where if your whole account has killed a certain boss in X amount of time, then anyone in your account that kills that boss gets like 10% boss damage to that specific boss, for example. If you kill it like 1,000 times. And this could be connected to the achievements. Oh, finally, guys, I'm telling you, the achievements, they're coming soon. 2024 is going to be the year of the achievements, okay? Like, if you give somebody an achievement and you kill CPAP 500 times in your account, why not give every character in your account like 20% boss damage to CPAP so that every next character can wail on it even harder? But you have to have killed it a bunch of times before you can do that. I think that would be pretty cool. Finally, some value for achievements. Finally, a way that you can keep track of like how many times you're actually killing bosses and stuff. And value for your whole account. I think that would be pretty cool. 500 weeks? No. You have different characters that you can do. I've already got the 500 kills of CPAP. If you kill on multiple characters, because then you can start snowballing, and then every new character that you can start killing the boss on gets better. This, in combination with giving more value to the boss rewards, I think could be a pretty cool system. But let's continue on that, because this is going very, very long. Hopefully you guys like me rambling about theory crafting about mechanics in the game, because this is going to be a lot of that. Profession fusion system utilization. That's okay. A lot of big words. The profession and Meister ranks are removed, and it is reorganized so that all characters can easily acquire additional options through equipment fusion. And you can prepare an environment where boss accessories and boss armors are used up. The demand for boss accessory and armors will be increased, and as boss rewards items are used up through the fusion system, the supply of items in the market will decrease, leading to an actual boss reward increase. In addition, if you temporarily adjust the equipment fusion rates through Sunday Maple, you can significantly increase the number of items used up in a short period of time. What are they saying? Like, better craftsman and meister flame outcomes if you fuse, specifically to use up CRA pieces? Is that what they're talking about? In addition, if rebirth flames are added to higher tier boss rewards, high spec users will be able to see more substantial benefits. Well, we already have rebirth flames on everything, but I guess in KMS they don't really see their flames dropping. So, hi Lotus 5, what up, dude? Fucking int, what is this? 80 and 5. Oh yeah, I rolled that on my cannoneer as well. That hurts. I rolled an 82 and 6 on my mark, on my dominator, and on my pap mark on my mules. It's really painful for the stat that I don't need. But you know, that's just MapleStory. Concerns with the introduction of a profession system, rebirth flames are added to high tier boss rewards. In the same patch, the profits of users who clear higher tier bosses may actually decrease to get to the top tier. Additional options, number of rebirth flames in the supply. Yeah, so this is all about supply and demand because of value, because of non-reboot, so it's not really as important. But it's good to take this into account because they didn't for the compensation, and then that fucked up the value of the items that people were putting into the market. These are overall user spec upgrades to high processor supply demand. Rebirth flames will also increase if this happens. Supply and demand of rebirth flames will increase compared to current measure. Rebirth flames for events. I think what would be really cool is if you could like fuse powerful flames into an eternal flame and fuse eternal flames into a black flame. I think that would be pretty cool because then the demand of the lower flames would go up as well, and the value of the lower flames would go up because people would more realistically using the black flames to make sure that they don't mess up the value of their current flame on their item. I think for non-reboot, I think that could be a pretty good thing to implement, rather than just giving people way more access to black flames straight out. But yeah, that's just my idea right now. If real flames, higher tier bosses will be overshadowed. I mean, yeah. It is necessary to set the crystal prices per world based on the other equipment items, while considering that the amount of mesos that users can obtain in each world does not cause a large difference in the prices of items in each world. Should they do that? I wonder if they should do that. I think actually you should see this as a tool to kind of show if some servers, like, economies are just hyper-inflated. Because I don't know if necessarily the price of items is like way lower on a server that's not very populated. Because the supply is also way lower. So that if there's one person who's just willing to chill out and just pay out the ass or through the nose for an item, and there's very limited supply, if anything, they will drive up the price more than on a big server where there's way more supply and way more demand. I don't know if you can necessarily say like it should be valued lower for a server with like a smaller economy and higher for one with a big economy. I don't know if you can necessarily say that. I think this could be a good equalizer where you actually make it the same value for all the servers and then let the economy decide, well, are you going to engage in it and use it as value, or are you not going to engage in it? Makore, Yachiver, Echa Mishpacha, lower play or higher price. I think, is that true in general? I think it only matters if there's like one crazy oiler who's just willing to buy them all up and pay out the ass. Other than that, I think in general the prices might be a little bit lower, but it will fluctuate more heavily. I think we could agree on that, right? On a smaller economy, it fluctuates more heavily. Depending on income. Motherfuckers in here got PhDs and shit. Oh yeah, they definitely do, dude. This is my chat. Welcome to my chat, Kobe, where everyone is has at least 3 undergrads, 4 graduate degrees, and has at least been published in 2 magazines. That's the bare minimum. Otherwise, you don't even get into this chat. You're here on a temporary streamer visa, okay? So you you get to be in here, but everyone else here, truly Peppo G, insane IQs. At least I've seen everyone's IQ test in here. At least 140. Otherwise, you don't get in here. Okay, what else do we have? I had a Star Force equipment collection system. Like the achievement system, you can make it possible to collect Star Force enhancement experience or destruction experience for each item type and give different effects based on the enhancement value. This can promote using mesos on items that aren't necessarily used to help curb meso inflation using equipment items as material. Wait. You can make it possible to collect Star Force enhancement experience or destruction experience for each item type and give different effects based on the enhancement value. Are they saying a system where you can just like overspend on a shit item to make it almost as good as a good item? So if someone doesn't get the really good item, they can just throw way more money at a weaker item and then get something that's almost comparable? That's what that... Am I reading that right? Are you guys reading that the same way? If I got the decimal, he meant 1.40. Damn, 1.4. I think if you can open up your... If you can turn on your computer, I think you're already at the point where you have like... You've got to already be at the point where you have like at least 30 IQ, right? Make a shit item less shit. Yeah, well, that's a very succinct way of saying it, Justin. Basically, Star Force a lot of random shit, which could give some sort of effect. But yeah, are you talking about like a bonus effect, like flames, on an item based on the Star Force? Spend money on bad hats so it collects boosts for your good hat. Oh, okay. So let's say that you are wearing a CRA hat and you just upgrade a bunch of other shitty CRA hats because that increases your experience in enhancing CRA hats, which gives you a bonus to the one that you're equipping, is what you're saying. Because you get like high mastery in being able to upgrade CRA hats or something on your character. Am I referring to a system where you get EXP for each equipment type while Star Forcing, and depending on the EXP you get boosted chance to successfully enhance an item? Oh, or that, yeah. Or any sort of hat, like pencil hat or something. Okay. So grind more CRA pieces? Dude, I've got thousands of those. Okay, permanent boss coin shop operation. Ooh. Are they getting to my... Are they copying all my suggestions? Hang on. If you add a certain amount of tokens to boss rewards that can be used to obtain growth items, rare enhancement scrolls, or cosmetic items, you can increase boss rewards while reducing the effects of meso-inflation. By providing a different number of coins based on lower higher tier bosses, you can better maintain higher tier boss rewards. Hey, stop copying off my homework, KMS advisory group. Soul system reorganization, yeah, they could do something with this. Change soul shards to be tradable material and add the ability to use your collected soul shards to reset or strengthen your soul's item stats. By increasing the demand for soul shards, the value of boss souls will be increased and the expectations of base rewards will be increased accordingly. Wait, hold up. They want to make the shards tradable and add an ability to use your collected shards to reset or strengthen your soul item stats. This will increase the demand. True. Will it increase the demand? Will it increase the demand? I don't think this will increase the demand. This will increase the demand for shards, but it'll decrease the demand for actual complete souls. Therefore, I don't know if the value of boss souls will go up. Because what will happen is a soul is like 400 mil, but if someone has like 1 shard and they can get 10 mil for it, they might do that. And then someone can make their own soul for 100 mil. So I think the value of the complete souls will drop. Because if you split it up, those items will get individual value. Where otherwise now their value is 0. And they only have a value if they're 10 put together. And you can only do that on one character because it's untradeable. I don't fully agree with like this line of reasoning. I don't this premise I think is flawed. But let me know what you guys think. Expectations of the base rewards will be increased accordingly. I'm not 100% on that, but I do think that there is probably something to be done with the soul system. There's probably something that they can do there. Add arcane stones to rewards. If added in the same intense power crystal with set amounts of guaranteed drop, arcane stones will be filled with experience. Could be used directly or sold. This can motivate arcane stone sellers to hunt and provide buyers with an alternate way to get desired achievements instead of taking time, rather than proxy growth. Add arcane stones to rewards. Wait, so like you kill high-level bosses and you get stones that you can fill up with experience when you're training, and you can either use them yourself or you can sell them for mezzo? Okay, my computer... Can you guys hear my computer? It just... is launching itself into orbit. Quiet. Percussive maintenance works every time, all the time. Okay, add a certain amount of experience to rewards, since one of MapleStory's core goals is to level up. Providing a large amount of experience based on the difficulty of the boss can also be a way to increase... Yeah, like, you kill phase 2 hard will and you get 3 experience. What's up with that, Nexon? The fuck, man? It's hard will. 3 experience? The base experience is only 1, by the way. The other 3 is because you get bonus percentages, and the lowest amount you can get is 1. If you're lucky, you can get 4 even, if you have 4 sources of experience. Easy Lucid worth it now? Yeah. Reboot World. Due to the nature of Reboot World, where we cannot trade, in most situations where you cannot obtain items dropped at a low rate, the sense of disappointment when your boss rewards is relatively bigger than our regular rewards. Yes! Therefore, reorganization with the minimum base rewards to require for the Reboot World environment. Some kind of coins that we can exchange in the shop, please. Reorganize it so that you can exchange Phantasma coins or Arachno coins by only using a number of core materials, such as certain droplet stones or butterfly wing droplet stones. I mean, I think what I've been saying, I think for 2 years or 3 years now, is that I think Phantasma coins and Arachno coins should drop from the boss. If you don't get any equips, you should get a low amount of like Phantasma coins or Arachno coins, like just like 1 per run or something, or maybe, well, 2. Is 2 fair? 6 weeks of running and you get a guaranteed drop? That's maybe a bit high. 1 is 12 weeks, which is too low. That sucks a little bit. I feel like 6 weeks is a little bit too fast, but 12 is too low. But if you do 1 to 2 and you let it depend on drop rate, then again, the RNG is back. Someone can get... Yeah, if you just do it 50-50 between 1 and 2, because I think 9 weeks is a good amount. Because then you run for a whole year, and then you basically have the full set, which I think is fair. Or you have a full set of backups. Like 1.5 per run is probably fair. Instanced, of course. Yeah, I feel like they should have been added to the drop table a long time ago. Instead, though, they added a lot of other stuff that made Arcane more achievable. You know, they lowered the price, they increased the drop rate, they increased the areas where they drop, they increased the drop rate for the equips themselves. Many layers of giving more access to the equips. But I feel like this one should have been one of them. Because even if this doesn't have as big an effect, it feels more direct and it feels more guaranteed. And even if the actual chance doesn't go up, I think that feeling is better to answer to and is stronger, so that the player base feels like they're making progress, rather than, even if the progress is less, the feeling is more important than the actual objective truth there. That's why in mobile games you let people click 500 times to pick up a bunch of shitty rewards, but it feels better to them than clicking once and getting a reward that's bigger than everything else combined. Because you get to click so many times, you can see like, oh, you achieved this so many times. That like constant endorphin thing makes you feel better in the end. But yeah, if you get an item from another job, you cannot use it or trade it, so remove the group reward system and reorganize it to a direction with individual rewards. Oh, you're talking about Reboot World. We cannot get items for another job. You cannot use it or trade it? Well, wait, we don't get items for other jobs. Is this made by someone who doesn't play Reboot at all? So remove the group reward system and reorganize it to a direction with individual reward. Oh, they mean like the books? I'm sorry, but if you're like a strength user and you get a blue book and you're like, ah, fuck this, and you throw it away because of 10 stat, you're out of your goddamn mind, okay? It's like, oh, this is like endgame tier. This has 10 stat less. This is worthless. You're not worthy, okay? To borrow from our Avengers, you are absolutely not worthy, okay? It is necessary to increase the 3x drop rate boost of boss rewards to 5x. Wait, do they actually know that it's 3x? To 5x, which was mentioned to be under review during the reboot related. Again, we're GMS, so no 5s here. 6, okay? We are at 6. GMS is a 6x server, not a 5x, all right? None of that 5x bullshit. I was not aware that it was actually 3x. Imagine having the drop rate of the pitch boss items be a third of what it already is now. So I saw my first book after 250 will runs, so that would be 750 instead. God and me. In a video game. Provide an alternative for items with a low acquisition rate, such as black bean marks, nobody gives a fuck about black bean, palace marks, and ruined force shields, so they can be crafted using specific materials, primal essence, chaos fragments, etc. Yeah, I agree, but also disagree with this part. I agree to make things craftable, but I don't think they should do it with materials that already exist, because people who got rid of things because they didn't have any value will get a huge kick in the nuts for being like, oh, you should have held on to those items because now you would have been able to make your items. If you do something like this, it should be with new items that that haven't dropped ever yet, and everyone should start from 0 with that. I don't think you can do with existing items, and because that will just make some people feel like absolute shit that they've been NPCing them. B mark is Pog if you don't have a Pap mark yet. Yeah, that's true, and it does make it so that you don't really have to buy monocles for a while, so you can save up your dineros more, because it's good all the way up to 20 stars, and a lot of people getting up to 20 stars on a pink bean mark is actually like endgame anyway, so... So yeah, that makes it so that you can spend more dineros on backups for tattoos and on backups for the transposed pendant. Yeah, human maintenance is done. Exclamation mark maintenance in the chat. Okay, character growth reorganization. Whew, we're at the second point, guys, of the first of 4 posts. Are you guys feeling it? Are you checking the length of the video right now, seeing how much longer we've got? I've got so much more in store for you guys. Measures to lower the hurdle of initial growth. Yes. Improve the visibility of the Maple Guide's mission to encourage players to challenge themselves more than they are currently, and increase the mission rewards to decrease the difficulty of character. These guys are just yoinking all of my points. This is okay, that's already exactly what I had. Create videos rather than text to explain the difficulty enhancement system to users so they can use. Yup. Visual learning is way better. Also, this connects into something that is a huge pet peeve of mine. Don't give me like 16 pages of text that like taper in 1 letter at a time, because I skip all of that. Give me like block of text that has everything succinctly, mention everything, and then have like an okay I have to click to be like, okay, now you know. And after like 3 of after that, ask me like a question. If I know it, give me a reward. If I don't know it, put the text back on my screen, right? Because then either people just know the answer so they can skip through it, which means they will still know the answer so they still have the necessary knowledge, or they will have to go through it again until they actually do know it, and then you have the same outcome, right? But just don't do that thing where it's like, oh, there's a new quest. Message number 1, message number 2, message number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Would you just like to start the quest? Yes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to confirm. Bro, like, my time has some value. I know I'm playing MapleStory, so it's not, not crazy out there, but I have some value in my time. Why did you just have me go through 16 screens to start a quest? It should be like, hey, this is the quest. Do you want to start? Yes. Good luck. See you when you're done. That's it. Just put more... Put more information on every individual screen, but put it all there at one time. Don't like taper through it, because I skip it all. I know some of you guys just hold down that NPC chat button, hold down that Y key, and just let it all just and don't read anything. And then when you're stuck, then you go look at your quest window and see what you actually had to do, right? That just comes from just being fatigued of just all of the word vomit that's just coming at you. Also, give people the ability to skip lore if you want to, and if you have animations and there is voice acting, please, for the love of God, give me the option to turn on the voice acting before it starts, and not have me hear afterwards like, oh, did you like the voice acting in that part? And I didn't have it on when I started, and I didn't even know that there was any. I was like, why not be like, hey, this segment has voice acting. Would you like to turn it on? I can choose yes or no, right? Not just, oh, you happen to start the game without voice acting on, so I guess you don't want any. Okay. Because, you know, some of it makes sense, some of it you don't want. But okay. For new users only, it is necessary to add rapid growth items support, such as mega burning boosters when reaching level 200. Oh, well, they're talking more specifically about the Maple Guide items, right? Like if you reach level 200 on your first character, you get a Mega Burning booster so you can get another character up. Yeah, like I said, I think it'd be really cool to do Maple Guide. I mean, I was like yelling that they're stealing my idea. So my idea is basically expand the Maple Guide, add more short-term, mid-term, long-term goals, put specific rewards, enroll pieces of information like the upgrading system, so basically people don't just roll their face on a keyboard until level 200 and then have to go through like the encyclopedia of like how to upgrade in MapleStory. That scares off a lot of people. Like the people who get to 200 see that wall of text and are like, no, okay, fuck that, I'm out, right? So introduce people in a more organic way to these systems, maybe require these systems in certain parts of the upgrade so people have to confirm that they know how these systems work before they can move on to the next part. And for people who are first-time players, give them way more rewards. And it can be like a lot of small rewards that they can just click more stuff, click more stuff, click more stuff. It'll just make them feel very good about advancing the first time on their first character, and then give them a little bit of extra boost for the next characters. And then by the time they get to their third, fourth, fifth character, then they're kind of on their own. But by then they'll have a way better understanding of how all the systems work, how to progress through the game, and it'll feel way more organic to go from point A to point B in the game. Yeah, Nexon's... Well, this is not Nexon's idea, right? This is user advisory group. So this is a bunch of other KMS players with huge IQs, obviously. That because, you know, we think the same things, and yeah, never mind. For beginner users, efficiency hunting, diversify hunting maps, and add party quests to give them an experience where they can feel the fun of the game. Diversify hunting maps and add party quests to give them... I'm okay with leveling way more from doing quests early on that kind of take you through the game, take you through content, and it has a lot of people doing it. That's like way better than grinding that early on. And then once you have all the coupons, you have access to all the buffs, then you can go grinding on your own, and then that'll be better. Something like that, yeah. You found out that they disbanded it yet? Yeah, that's here, this early termination. Okay, improvements of the problem of focusing on specific hunting grounds. It is necessary to solve the hunting grounds shortage by simply improving the terrain of unpopular maps below level 200 and increasing the monster appearance rates. Of course, this is very different for GMS, right? Because we have spawn and hunts, or so which maps are good and how big the differences are with other maps is the thing. For later on in the game, though, I think it would be really cool if in a similar way to burning in maps, if we also had meso burning in maps, where you would get more meso obtained in maps that are very underplayed, to also further diversify where people go if they want to meso farm. That's of course not as much a problem anymore now, because meso farming, you know, because suiciding your character doesn't reduce your EXP anymore. People aren't stuck in the same area as much anymore, so it might be that that's not as much necessary. But I thought that would be pretty cool if they did that. Lower growth difficulty by increasing movement terrain and hidden portals in hunting maps to allow players to move freely through the maps and in the Maple Guide. Man, in my brain, I'm just still in 2006, where as a warrior, you would kill a monster, then go onto your silver main, your level 70 mount, which level 70 was when you got third job. This is old Scardor talking. And then you would use that to move to the next monster, dismount, and then kill that one, and then mount it. Because the maps were so big and they had like 6 monsters on them. So you have to use, and there was no rush skill, no flash jump, no nothing. You had no mobility as a warrior, and you had to use your mount to get from one monster to the next. Like, this is the... So, like, the way that you're already able to move around maps right now, in my opinion, is insane. But I guess comparing some classes to others, more fluid mobility through the map and more the ability to just explore areas more quickly is probably a good idea. Pre-Big Bang sucked. For mobility, it was terrible. I remember playing Buccaneer, but like the what is it, like Infighter, I think, was the first job. Way when it came out, the only mobility you had was if you double tapped your arrow, you got like a little boost in that direction. That was it. And then later they added like the corkscrew punch and like the dashing skills. That gave a lot. And then when flash jump came to the character, oh my god, dude, the flash jump, it was revolutionary. But for the longest time, there were only 2 characters that have flash jump, or even only, yeah, it was like the. Did bandits even have one? I think it was only Night Lords that had a flash jump for like what felt like a lifetime. But once everyone got a flash jump, it was, yeah, crazy. But then, you know, the people who had a flash jump got a double one, so, you know, you just keep going. But yeah, sure, I don't feel like too hot or cold about this topic. That could be fine. Provide experience from content other than hunting. It is necessary to provide a variety of sources of experience so that Legion character growth is not just repeatedly hunting. Provide experience as a reward when you clear certain floors in Muling Dojo so that you can play content and grow your character at the same time. Add higher level sections of Monster Park and in Monster Park maps, since they have used the characteristic map giving some of the Arcane River. It slows down clear time. Using each area's map design would be sufficient to express the atmosphere. I don't know, like, people, every time I'm doing Monster Park, people are like, why are you doing Night Stronghold and not the highest level one? Well, because experience is never an argument. Experience over time, you know, like how long it takes to get experience, that's always the argument. And experience through time on the Monster Park ones isn't that amazing, you know? If you're really, really strong it is, but if you're really, really strong, like, you can also get really, really good experience while training instead. So I just do Monster Park for the clears, do one with the lowest amount of maps that you can fly through, and then when you actually want to train, then you settle into training and get all your coupons and everything going, etc., and then you can make it so that you get some crazy rates that'll always be better to time, you know, as a ratio to time, than doing Monster Park over and over. The only reason you would do Monster Park is like on Sundays or where there's a sunny Sunday with extra buffs, you know, then you can get a little bit extra. But other than that, you know, Monster Park is just for the clears. But I guess, you know, those numbers are also different in KMS. If you don't have spawn and hunters in maps, that means that comparatively the experience numbers for Monster Park are higher for them. That could be an argument for... Honestly, I think that could be an argument for GMS to increase those numbers instead for Monster Park, to make them more competitive with training in a map that would have spawn boosters in it. But again, we're getting into the minutia of what I talked about a long time ago about needing someone who maintains the balance between reboot and non-reboot, and needing someone who maintains the balance between GMS and KMS. In fact, whether they want to do that, whether they want to make the budget for that, you know, that's all like on them. But I think from like objectively, from like an outsider's perspective, that is something that is necessary to make sure that the game is, you know, internally balanced, I think. So where were we at? Here, add a method to disassemble Arcane Shade equipment to receive experience, which will provide an option to obtain experience while defending against the drop in price of items. Well, what we were talking about is like allowing people to either trade in or disassemble arcane items and then get droplets or coins out of it, so you can use them to get other pieces that you want. For example, my Demon Avenger and my Arc both have gotten 5 weapon drops now. So my inventory is just full of weapons, and all the other pieces that are the pieces that I actually want, I'm getting 0 of. You know, if I was able to trade those in for pieces, or I was able to extract them, get coins, and then use the coins to buy the pieces, then at least you get some value back out of the luck of getting a drop. I don't know if that's what they mean here, but getting experience out of extracting arcane items, I don't know if you Like, these would have to be billions and billions of experience, right? Like, how much are you talking? Like 100 billion experience from extracting one arcane item or something to make it worth? I don't know. Like for me, 100 billion. How much would that be for me? 11,720. That would be like 1.5% or something. Yeah, I don't know. Function about Big Bang ruined MapleStory. You guys will never understand. Oh, I definitely understand. Big Bang definitely ruined this game. Overall, I think the game got better, but there was a line that they could have continued other than going into this path. That I think, like in a parallel universe, Big Bang didn't happen, and this game is just in a completely different place at this point. But that's not to say that the game now isn't at least better than it used to be, because the game used to be a giant shit show, Swiss cheese of hacks. Yeah, it used to be just kind of a fucking joke. Still is, but way less so, I would say. By adding experience to boss rewards, you can avoid the play method of clearing bosses only for money and provide more motivation to increase specs. With this, if you defeat a certain number of monsters with your level range, weekly bosses experience rewards can be added as a supplement, and excluding boss mules, the experience benefit can be focused on characters that you are actually growing. Okay, yeah, maybe. Enhance hunting motivation, add a social feature. Jesus, I put a lot of stuff in here. Add a social feature like a 6-person adventure squad similar to the past family system. Providing additional incentive for monotonous hunting by adding rewards such as certain buffs when you reach set goals. To provide motivation to use various maps when growing Legion characters, you can add a Maple. So the problem with all of this is that if you don't make it better than what exists right now, no one will use it. And if you make it better than what exists right now, then everyone will use it, and everything that is used otherwise now is completely dead as a result. This is very tricky. It's very tricky to balance this to the point where it's better for some and not better for some, so that people can choose to do it, and that it's really a choice that people have. With a game like this that's so long term, where people min-max so hard, a lot of times when this stuff will come out, it will never feel like a choice. It'll just be like you have to do it or you're just fucking stupid, or if you're doing it, you're fucking stupid. Like, that's just what that's what the meta will make you feel, rather than like, oh, you can choose to do it if you really want to, but you don't have to. Like, that's in practice, that's just never how it turns out. Tiger and Fangblade forever maple goats. Don't mention Fangblade and Tiger in the same breath, okay? Tiger was a shared account, breaking TOS. Fangblade was the only one true OG. You just can't do that. You can't put those two together. It's taken away from Fangblade's achievements. But okay. To provide motivation for various character, you can add a Maple Guide additional mission, which rewards things like rebirth flames for hunting in specific regions once per while. Okay, that's a little bit detailed, but I get what they're saying. Like, in order to get the stamp, right? Instead of just getting the stamp so you can teleport to it, but also give some rewards even to higher level areas and to higher level people, yeah. I healed for Fangblade at Hime's once. Oh, nice, yeah. I lost my Hime's map to Fangblade once because the red-nosed Tengu guy showed up and he wrecked me. And I was walking back, and by the time I got back, someone was killing in the map. I was like, oh no, and then I saw it was Fangblade. It was like, I died, and he's like, well, tough shit. I was like, yeah, okay, kinda true. So, you know, rip. I think my mom trained with him twice as well, because his regular bishop and his second and third backup bishops were all unavailable, and my mom was high level, and she could one-shot Skelegons with Genesis, so she was like training with him. Should I get Fangblade tattooed on my back? The character with the helmet? With like the mailbox helmet? Or the name Fangblade? I would say yes to the character, no to the name. Okay, enhance level up motivation. In addition to the benefits of entering new areas, add achievements that can be cleared naturally while playing the game, and provide small rewards to give a visible motivator. X. For example, clear a higher tier boss, achieve XX levels. That looks like a horrible example to give. But I mean, in general, I'm all in favor of making achievements mean something rather than just points that are just kind of like floating out there and be like, oh, you can have a little box over your head to be like, oh, it's silver. Like, nobody gives two shits or even half a shit about any of that. But make achievements just mean something to the game, right? Make it either way more flexible or make it actually give, like, you know, passive buffs to the bosses that you've killed a lot, or, you know, just have it mean something further into the game. A portrait of Fangblade the person. Ah, yeah, over your entire back. That sounds like a good tattoo. Achievement stats, please. Yeah, maybe stats, you know, just something. Anything, you know? Okay. Reorganize high level growth. There's a big burden where the higher you level, the more time it takes to level up. No shit, Sherlock. Currently, there is no motivation to reach level 280 or higher, so I mean, there is. You get extra bonus damage, you get more slots. There is not yet as much, but that's because they're still bringing out new content for these areas. Like the level cap, I guess in KMS, for them, they're like, okay, we've been able to go past 275 for like 6 months now, right? So it's or 7 months, so they're in a little bit of a different situation. I can kind of see, like, if in another 6 months we don't get any new content versus what we already have, that would feel a little bit scuffed, I guess. You'd expect at least some new content every 6 months. But hopefully the new content for the current KMST patch is something like that, but we'll have to wait and see. I think we'll have that tomorrow for you guys. It is necessary to stimulate this by adding new maps in higher level areas. I mean, I agree with that part, yeah, sure. The new update, the level 250 section hunting grounds have been neglected, and additional reorganization is needed. Didn't they... Right, they added new maps and stuff for Limina, but they didn't do anything for the maze? People skip the maze, but it's more on people than on the game, I think. I trained in the maze myself, and it was... It was amazing. So the fact that nobody trains there will just put way more experience there and give higher burn, which in turn I think will just let more people go there and see them as alternative maps. I wouldn't just like discard the whole area or be like, oh, we have to revamp the whole thing now because people like other maps more. I don't know. Scardor, have you ever tested your IQ? Yeah, a bunch of times. I was tested when I was 11 or 10 or 11 in like a university from by a professor who said that I was underperforming because basically if they said name at least 2, then I would just name 2 and go on to the next one. Whereas if you name way more, which I knew way more, but I was always trying to do as little as possible, if you name way more, then you would get higher scores, but I would always just be like, okay, next. I would try to be done as fast as possible. And I think at that point I scored up to like, I think 138. And then I tested again later when I was, I think, no, this was, how old was I there? I think 15 or 16. And I scored about the same at that point. And I've done like the meme online like entry for Mensa thing where I always qualify and they always say like, oh, you have a high enough score so you can ask. But I've never really done anything with that. But they don't really give you a score, and it's like one that you can practice, I guess, because it's always the same one. So you can, like, by process of elimination, you could get better at that one. But yeah. I got tested when I was a kid because your parents were worried that you were retarded. Okay, well, were they right or no? MapleStory 2 achievements contributed to guild systems, so some guilds recruited only based on your trophy count. Huh. Well, if that's a way that you can contribute to the guild, that could be a cool system. First or stupid? Well, Crispal. We'll go head to head, dude. At least 2 is exact as name 2. Lol is the lazy people who invented. You're taking that Bill. Not Bill Cosby. Who's the other Bill? The Microsoft Bill. Oh God. Gates. You're taking the Bill Gates approach to So like always get like a lazy person to do a difficult thing because they'll find an easy way or like an uncomplicated way of fixing the problem or something. I think you're too. I think you're using that one. Enhance party play elements to increase enjoyment while hunting. This is so difficult to re-implement into the game after like 7 years of basically moving away from doing anything together with other human beings. This will be so hard. Add a system to hunt together with users like party hunting. Add content that supports 2 to 3 person parties like the past, like Lion King Castle. Oh, Lion King Castle. I actually got the right name, yeah. We have to join together to fight powerful monsters, rather by matching the experience efficiency of party hunting and solo experiences. Yeah, you have to put caveats. The main reason why, at this point, I think the main reason why this can never work is, right now, is having to share runes. Runes are a huge part of getting your experience, especially at the higher levels. And the fact that, you know, you could get a big map and you have like 3 or 4 people, but now you can also only get a rune like once every hour instead of once every 15 minutes. That's just such a huge nerve. So you have to compensate that with like a huge boost for training in a party. But again, that circles back to what I said before. If you make something like this that's like really great, and then either it's going to get into a situation where it's so good that everyone has to do it all the time, or it's bad and nobody's going to do it. Like, it's really delicate to find that balance. Totem sharing. I think personally, totem sharing is a really good reason why you would do it. And I think maybe in like 5 more levels or 10 more levels, people will really be at the point where like nobody is training a second account Kana anymore to like Kishin themselves at level 285 in the new area, because there's no value there anymore. But instead, you can train on a really big map. You have your own part that you can kill. Maybe you get more runes, you get AoE runes, you get something. And you can alternate totems with people who are also hardcore grinding. And you could be like, okay, we have 3 people in a map. Everyone has a full area that they can cover. So one person uses a rune, a totem, then the next one, then the next one. And you have full map coverage the whole time. You don't have to walk around all over the place for your spawn. And you only have to use 1/3 of the totems. Or, with the same amount of totems, you can train 3 times as long because you're sharing totems. I think that for Reboot would work. But I don't think we will ever get a system that will have that work perfectly, or will have that be efficient, because everything has to come from KMS. And KMS does not have spawn enhancers, so we would have to be so lucky to stumble upon a situation where that would actually work out for us, because there would never be the intent in KMS. So that's why I'm not really hoping or expecting anything like that. Content supports powerful monsters. Yeah, promote party hunting by increasing the size of the current in-game maps, allowing players to create parties and hunt in different areas. The only way they could do this if all the maps in an area were huge. If there was even a few small maps, then people will just like solo run into those. It's also just harder to find a bunch of people to do things together with and to synchronize with for like multiple hours for like grind sessions, right? It's just difficult. I remember back in the day, and I'm talking way back before Lion King's Castle. That's already like for newer players. For like the old players, I'm talking about dual Ghost Pirate parties and Spirit Viking parties, where you would just go to a party and you'd be like, hey, I don't know, like I have 5k range and I'm a Night Lord and I'm looking for a mid or top platform. And then someone would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be gone in 15 minutes. Or someone is going to be like, oh yeah, no, we're full for like the next hour plus. Or like, or you're looking for a bishop to just walk around and HS everyone, right? Those parties that are more like pickup group parties, that would make more sense, in my opinion, because everyone had like their designated platforms. Because I think in Lion King Castle it was more like people just flying all over the place and just ramming their weapons into things, just trying to get things killed faster. But yeah, I do miss party playing a lot. But I do understand, and I think the main problem with all of this is that the player base of MapleStory has gotten a lot older, and therefore it's harder to synchronize. People's lives are just busier, so it's harder to find like the synchronize. If you're a kid, you know, a lot of times you just have so much free time, you just like log in and you just go whenever, and there's always other people. They buffed Lara, gave her Kishin, but it is a super cutie and cartoony kitty happy sheep just for Scardor. Okay, cool. But yeah, anyone who's trying to bring party play back into the game, like power to you. I'll support you, and I'll think along with you, because I do think that that's a player base, like a huge player base that is not being catered to at all, and I would like to have those people in my game. Add daily party quests to all level sections. However, there are also opinions that you should not burden party quests by setting daily experience limits. I would love to see a bunch of party quests as a way for alternative income for poor people, as a way of alternative experience for weak people, and just as a thing to do that's like team building-esque for people who are just very casual. In general, bring party play in there for sure. Julep, was your favorite grind? I met many cool people. Yeah, I think we had the same thing when we had those training maps in certain areas or during certain events where you could go for a limited amount of time or kill a limited amount of monsters. People just immediately started communicating with each other and like cracking jokes and having fun and everything. But everyone had their own monsters. And I think we've talked about that a few times in the stream as well. Like, what if you did, instead of party play and everything, everyone gets their own runes, everyone gets their own monsters, but everyone does train in the same map with other people. You just only see their character moving around. You don't see their lines and you don't see their damage. But you're actually sharing the map with other people so you can communicate with other people. Like, you're basically training alone together, right? I think that would also be like a good middle ground between where do we go, and what could be the negative ramifications of upsetting the balance in the game, etc. I think that would be a fine thing to do as well. But hang on, let me set up my faction war run in raid real quick. There we go. Lower the difficulty of Legion growth. It's already so much easier than it used to be, but okay. Recent extreme growth potions have been good for Legion character growth. It's been insane. But this comes with disadvantage that simply leveling up a character doesn't improve the character understanding. True, but I trained every character to 200 and had no idea how any character worked. Getting to 200 for Legion is just rolling your face on your keyboard long enough for it to get there. There's no real need for understanding your character. Necessary to provide opportunities to directly experience and understand the skills of each class at the same time when adjusting Legion character growth difficulty in the future by adding an instance dungeon method with high experience efficiency. I am okay with like this last part, and I have mentioned that a bunch of times, and these guys are really just watching my stream and taking all my good ideas. Motherfucking KMS advisory group. It's a good thing you guys got disbanded. You know why they got disbanded, actually? Because I already read this beforehand, then I complained to KMS, and then it disbanded it because they agreed that they were all stealing my great ideas. Yeah, well, my idea was, like, I thought it would be really cool if you had some kind of high experience dungeon that you could go in with every character, but only for, like, 15 minutes a day or something. And you could buy some specific 15-minute coupons for it. Or coupons wouldn't work in there, for example, just to kind of regret all that. But you could get like some hyper good experience. And I'm talking about like multiple percentages, even at the higher levels. But you could only do it 15 minutes a day. So basically that eventually, and like the higher you would go, the slower it will be. But if you did that every single day, that you could go just to have people who don't have much time to play would still have the ability to still kind of relatively speed up and level. And you could still train outside of that, and you could still level way faster by just grinding, right? But it would give you like a base level of growth forward with your character. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like growing your Legion is already like the fastest it's ever been. Like, there's like events with all of the growth that made it. I could just see people who just start out and they can get an 6K and 8K Legion in like a quarter of the time it took me, and then they're still trying to speed it. I'm not saying like other people have to suffer like I did or something, but I don't see a problem there that it's too slow. The problem, I think, is that it's maybe too fast in the sense that it's too artificial. If you give people extreme growth potions, they will level their character faster, but it's like rare candying your Pokemon, where basically, if you go back onto the character and you're trying to train it, you won't be able to kill anything because it's way too weak, because it's totally outscaled by the content, because you didn't have to level up to get to that content. You just potioned your way there, right? So maybe a more organic way, like maybe access to like 3x or 4x experience coupons so that you level faster, but you still have to be strong enough to kill the monsters rather than just artificial experience out of nowhere. I would be more in favor of something like that, where it's more directly connected to still putting in the work and still killing monsters physically, rather than it just being like, oh, click, level up, you know? At a system that uses the Legion characters like the past Legion Arena to motivate... Oh! Wait, I thought KMS people hated the Legion Arena. I love the Legion Arena. Why are they stealing... Dude, they're stealing every one of my points. I wanted this to come back too. Just balance out the characters a little bit better so it's more fair. So my marksman isn't dog shit and is constantly walking around after every shot like a chicken without a head. That's the only thing I'm asking, okay? Also, don't make Kana so OP. It went from being garbage to being way too strong. How about somewhere in the middle, Nexon? But yeah, I'm totally up for this, because I want some kind of PvP and I want some kind of ranking in this game. Some kind of permanent ranking, not only during events. I think that'd be cool for just the profile of the game and just people taking the game a little bit more seriously. Having some kind of overall ranking, except for Dojo that's like constantly like up and down and switches every single week, but something with like a long-term ranking system. And I think something like Legion Arena is probably the most PvP-y thing that we can get that is also codable by Nexon. Like mini auto chess for our characters from the Legion. I think that's a good compromise between having some PvP and it being codable by Nexon, which is a pretty high bar for them to be able to achieve. Extreme Growth Potion can be good to get my Merc to 210 because I hate it. Yeah. Concerns. There is concern that they may feel like a homework from the user's point of view to be an increased burden. Yeah, that's true. Like I just said, if you have one of those hyperbaric time chambers where you can train faster, that is going to feel like another daily that you have to do. I am kind of the opinion that even though that is technically not wrong, it is part of growing up and part of being a human that you're going to have opportunity, and it is up to you to decide which opportunities you want to take and which you don't want to take, and to know the difference, to learn to deal with FOMO, because every single decision you make has an opportunity cost in that you can't do something else as a result. And part of growing up and part of just becoming a functioning adult is realizing that and making decisions and becoming decisive in that. And in a way, this, you know, computer games are just another way of helping you learn that lesson. So yes, but no. Enhanced hunting convenience. Are we almost done with this? Jesus Christ. Okay, we're almost done. Enhanced hunting convenience is necessary to standardize not only job performance, but also fatigue by adjusting the number of buffs or skills used. Yeah, I think they're talking about like making a bunch of skills passive. I agree. I don't necessarily think everything should be passive all the time, because that's kind of silly. I think there should be a cost associated with wanting to get stronger. But with how many skills are good and how many skills we want to be using from the V matrix at this point, we should be able to put decent skills in a macro on an auto buff pet, because God, our keyboards are getting so full, and it's not a good real progress. Real raids, it would be cool if they would introduce actual raids into MapleStory. I thought about this, but it's really weird that we are an MMO that doesn't have raids, doesn't have dungeons, and doesn't have PvP, but we're still an MMO somehow. But I feel like all of those pieces are like almost necessary cornerstones of like being an MMO. It's so strange, but okay. It is difficult to standardize the skills used. It can be implemented just by allowing users to set the existing skill macro shortcuts. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what I just said. Okay. Way to take even more ideas of my... These guys are watching my stream, dog. 100%. 100% these guys are watching my streams. Monster collection reorganization. There are situations where monster cannot be registered because they don't appear in-game, such as the Ghost Pixie, and certain metals cannot be acquired. This is like a general... database consistency problem that definitely has to be addressed in some way. Provide a motivation, but like certain maps cannot be found in the world map, but if you're in the map, you can open your world map and see it from there. It's like, how are these things real at the same time? Provide motivation by adding rewards for registering more than 600 monsters in the monster collection. Is 600 the highest? But yeah, I think that could be something cool. This and achievements in general, I think it would be cool to just keep building on systems so that people who want to min max on a certain system can still feel the rewards more so than just number go higher. There are other requests for improving convenience, such as changing the expedition box rewards to be tradable within the world, adding a monster search feature, and adding a cancel expedition feature. Oh yeah, you can even cancel if you like misclick the wrong one. You're just stuck for hours. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's kind of weird actually. Growth support for new reboot world only users. Reorganize the reboot gifts boxes rewards for new users only. Add a guideline document that explains what. But the gift box rewards are already only for new users though, because it's only once per account, right? Guideline document that explains the characteristics of Reboot World, providing mega burning boosters to support Legion character growth and provide a certain amount. Yeah, I'm more in favor of this now that I'm thinking about it, because burning worlds are very common now, but you can't transfer to non-reboot worlds. I don't know why. There must be like some kind of internal reason why they can't do that. But then why doesn't Reboot get anything at all in return for that? Why couldn't we just get like two like regular Legion burn coupons, or better yet, maybe make Legion burn coupons available for like a few hundred coins in the Legion shop or something, so you can snowball off of those. But I don't know, just spitballing at this point. And provide a certain amount of occult cubes so they can settle into the game better with better specs. It's necessary to add power elixirs and core gemstones to alleviate the problem of supply of beginner potions and core gemstones. I don't know about nodes. Nodes have never been less necessary than now, but people want more because there's more to upgrade. Like back when 5th Job came out, nodes were garbage. It was impossible to get your boost nodes, to get your tri nodes almost, because you would get boost nodes for other characters. You would get a lot of nodes, but they would all be shit. Plus, you only get one 5th Job skill. Now you just click 5th Job and you get 4 skills immediately, and you're immediately like stronger than the level 220 was when 5th Job came out. And yes, there's more stuff that is upgradable, but you also need less to be able to move through the content. The content has all been scaled down, and you have been scaled up comparatively. There's always, and yeah, I want to be very careful, because I'm not saying this, and I've said it before, I'm not trying to make this as a I suffered before, so you all have to suffer now as well. But I see a lot of benefits from having not being pushed through the content with like no regard for my progression, but having to kind of find my way through it. I see a lot of benefit from that in hindsight, and I see more of a like concerned parent seeing other people coddling and spoiling their child and ending up with a bunch of spoiled kids at the end who didn't really have to work for things as much, and as a result you can't really value things for the value that they actually have. Because, you know, $5 is $5, but if you had 10 and you have to give away 5, or you had 0 and you get 5, that already has a completely different value to you. Or you get 5 for free, or you had to like shovel a driveway for an hour to get $5, right? These are the same numbers at the end, but the experience of the player, the experience of a person is completely different depending on how you got it or what you had to do to get it. Or if there was a difference in like a nerf from your old situation or a buff from your old situation to get to that situation where you have that much. So that's something to always take into account. Power elixirs, of course, that's not really necessary for non-reboot. We could just buy elixirs, which I don't think the ginger ales, I don't think they exist in KMS, so that's probably why. Because they've always been in areas that are non-KMS, so that's probably why. So for nodes, I have conceded though, I think it's fine to add nodes to the Maple Guide reward for new players if you do add rewards there for like getting to the new areas, completing certain tasks. I'm all for putting nodes there, but it will only be for new players and only be like for the first character on the account, I think, and that would be fine. I think Nodestone nerf is pretty unfortunate for new players. There was no note. The only Nodestone nerf that I think was stupid was nerfing the drop rate of nodes in Vanishing Journey by 20% because KMS people went there to farm them. I think it'd be okay that they did that for like a month, but then after that they should have probably just silently just reverted it so people didn't know and people didn't go there anymore. That being said, new players are in Vanishing Journey probably a total of like 4 days. And then you're not there anymore and you get all of your rates out there. So I don't think there's any kind of negative effect from the Nodestone dropper. People talk about nerfs, don't really understand how the system worked before. Nodestones and progress through Nodestones has only improved. Yeah. Like in event shops comparatively, symbols have gotten cheaper comparative to Nodestones, but that doesn't mean that the Nodestones got more expensive, right? Talking about the difficulty added with earning your skills from nodes. The difficulty added by getting more nodes? Oh, yeah. What's that going to say? Make arcane orbs a system? Arcane symbols? If a character in the world has the arcane orb equipped, then the other characters get plus 100% arcane orbs for that daily. 3 characters. Yeah, I think there's something there to, especially for Reboot, to help people who are growing their Legion to get further with newer characters. And I was looking at it, and that's a good point. I was looking at it through the lens of saying, like, let's say that I have a character and I have maxed a symbol. This was kind of like my compromise, which I think is balanced. Like, let's say that I have a character that has a symbol maxed. Then if I play any other character on my account, I feel like any other character should get 30 extra arcane power. Maybe not the stats from it, but like the 30 arcane power so you can get the bonus faster. But I like your idea better, where it's like, okay, if you have a certain level of a symbol, or maybe if you have it maxed, you get an extra amount of symbols from a daily on a character, depending on how many characters in your account have it maxed. So again, so you can like snowball into, oh, you got like 5 characters with maxed symbols. Well, now like you do 1 daily, you get like 40 symbols, so some crazy shit, right? And now you can actually max in a reasonable amount of time. And the downside, of course, is that you're going to be spending a lot of money upgrading those symbols very quickly, but you should be able to have the income to supplement that because of the higher level characters that you already have that have the symbols maxed. I think that's a good general suggestion. I don't know about the 100%, I don't know about the exact numbers, but I think it would be cool to have some kind of snowballing system there. Again, to promote people to play more characters, to dissuade people from feeling like they cannot switch mains, right? Because in Reboot, that's a huge problem when it comes to arcane power, because we don't have the catalyst thing that allows you to transfer some experience from one symbol to another. So I think that something in that direction is a good idea. But again, let's try to get through all of this stuff. Enhance marks for beginner players. Don't use this, Max. This is wrong, okay? Just a friendly feedback point. Everything else, I love your shit. But this is not the abbreviation, for example. It's like IE or EG. To create an environment where, well, IE is in exemplum, right? And then EG is, I think that's the same. I think they mean the same. Well, I Googled it before, but I'm going to Google it again. To create an environment where existing users can voluntarily help new users. I think that's cool. I already do that. I have my stream open, and I help any person with any questions as best as I can. But I think it's cool to do that in-game instead of having that externally, either in Discord, in Reddit, in Twitch, but actually having it in the game. I think that would be pretty cool. Again, when getting advice from someone, make sure that that person is giving advice for the right reasons, right? If someone gives you advice and then they give you shit, if you're not blindly following it immediately, don't take any advice from that person, because they are ego-driven, and that's the reason why they're giving advice, which means that you cannot trust their advice, because they'll just say anything to make sure that they feel important towards you, okay? If someone gives you advice, and you say, that, okay, I'll take it under advisement, and then they say nothing after that, or be like, okay, cool, good luck, those are the people that you're looking for. I similarly that is, which is when you add more detail to what you said. Right. You're like, you're clarifying. And EG is a direct example. Right, yes. Wait, so you mean like in essence or something? They're Latin, right? IE versus EG. It est, right, means that is, yeah, okay. And EG is exempli gratia, gratia, okay. For the sake of example. Okay, cool. I'll probably won't remember that, but Latin? Yeah, no, I had a little bit of Latin in school. It's been a while. The Latin's been longer ago than how long I haven't had it. Like, well, than how old I was when I had it. It's been like more than half my lifetime ago, but well, way more actually. Fuck, I was 12 when I have Latin. Never mind, it's 21 years ago. Oh god, never mind. I shouldn't do maths like that. It just makes me feel a fucking grandpa of MapleStory. Okay. At a time-limited title that gives a percentage damage to regular monsters to give new users a foothold to adapt to Reboot World. This is probably not necessary because of the change with the final damage. I think the final damage change is proportionally very good for endgame and very good for early game. In the middle, it's roughly the same as it is now, but I think it specifically scales very good at the end and scales very good at the beginning because of the range of levels. Excuse me. So I'm not sure how necessary this still is. KMS is already at the change, so I wonder why they want this. Other than higher number go brr, you know, I'm always looking for a better argument than that in anything, so. Henry's coding has been ignored. What? If 99% of the people think it's fine, it's fine? 99%? I don't know if I agree with that. That seems like too much of a blanket statement that I could just agree with right now. I have to think about that. In Reboot World, additional improvements. In regular worlds, world's core gemstones are mainly obtained through core gemstones or node stones, mainly obtained through trading. But in Reboot World, it is unreasonable to rely on hunting and event coin shops. Is it unreasonable though? We've all had to do it when there was way less to upgrade, and we've all got thousands. Sure, it's hard in the beginning, but it's hard for everyone, and we all made it, and it's all fine. I'm not feeling the need, like, again, adding some for your first character to Maple Guide and structuring the whole, bringing new people into the game, more welcoming and giving them more rewards for their first character, I'm all for that. So if this is cycled into that or like integrated into that, then that's fine. I sold to the event meso shop. Well, list of items sold in the event meso shop. Yeah, maybe for like a max. Yeah, I mean, what would it be, like a max of 50 every 6 months? Sure, if they think that's enough of a difference, then maybe. Yeah. You have thousands in years. Wait, I do. If 99% of Germans, Monka, yeah, exactly. That's kind of what that's kind of why I'm not saying yes immediately to a statement like that. It is necessary to improve the situations where even level 272 users take a penalty to train in Limina and lower level areas because of Sirium's high monster health and Arcane River Droplet Stones, which can only be acquired up to Limina. Yes, but I don't think that needs to be done on the map level. I think that needs to be done on the drops from the boss level. The pity system, the coin system as drops, maybe extraction value, like all of those things. If all of those things get fixed, then this is not an issue anymore, and people will be stronger because they have more of the pieces, and they'll be able to train at the higher level maps and get way better rates there, and they'll organically want to do that instead of, as I would say, inorganically stay at areas way below their level because of a drop that's only there. So I agree with this problem, but I think it can be fixed without like map stuff, but can be fixed with drop and pity system stuff. Other opinions? Okay. Jesus Christ. For quests where you must go to a wide range of maps, such as Magnus and Cygnus Quest, it is suggested to reduce unnecessary travel time for quest completion by immediately moving characters. Well, what is the next step? Is just removing the pre-quest altogether because it's like too much work. I mean, don't you already get teleported through half the maps? People have a teleport rock anyway. I don't know. When I see a suggestion and it can basically be reduced to faster equals better or more equals better, If I don't see any real other argument than that, I usually just don't even what's the word I'm looking for? Oh god, I'm ESLing right now. I don't even the suggestion. I don't even consider the suggestion, honestly. In the conference written inquiries, it was said that balance would be adjusted for jobs with big differences in hunting ability, but we need guidance on how these balance adjustments will be done. This goes for everything. I don't really care what Nexon changes. I need to know why they decide to change it, like on what the information was that they used to base the decision on. If I can see that pretty logically follows, then I can be completely okay with it. But if I can see that there's like a huge thing, then I could. That's the thing I can disagree with. If they're just saying like we're gonna do this, like I don't know what to do with that information really, because it could be that they have a really good reason for it, and it could be that they have a horrible reason for it, and that will taint how I agree or disagree with that change. You know, entertaining would be another word that I could have used there. Yeah. Since the number of chairs and medals are increasing, the number of inventory slots for chairs and medals need to be increased for collectors. For medals, I don't think it's necessary because you can just click reissue and just get another medal whenever you want it, right? And they're just in a UI. What about we make the same kind of UI for chairs where you can just click and get the chair that you've had once and then free up the slots altogether, and do the same for titles. I think that's a way better argument. Trading? Yeah. Well, yeah, so it's a non-reboot thing. Right. I'm always in reboot mode, sorry. I'm just always... My brain is always like, oh, just do this. And then I forget that some people actually paid money for this game. It just blows my fucking mind, but okay. But yeah, trading would be something to think about. But like a chair UI, like a collector UI, it would be even cooler if you had like a virtual room that you could put whatever you want into, and you could put like all of your chairs and shit and just like plop them all in there. Necessary to provide for the convenience to easily manage hyperstats for boss and hunting by adding a damage to normal monster stat, adding hyperstat priest. Stop. No, actually, I'm happy that these guys are watching my streams and stealing all my ideas, because these are great ideas, and they need to be brought up really early so that Nexon can steal them and pawn them off as their own ideas. I don't care who gets the credit, as long as the shit gets into the game. Whether these guys get the credit, whether Nexon gets the credit for implementing it, I don't care. As long as we get presets for everything. I don't even care if it costs some mezzo to click. I need presets for everything. We need presets for hyperstats, for the V matrix, for equips, for maybe even for skill points in some situations. We need all of these. You know which presets we got? Presets for familiar badges. That's the one we got. So you can min-max that 4 weapon attack and 3% IED. I mean, they say it's the thought that counts, and I really want to say that, but but it's just so sad to, yeah. But okay, if I can finally max, it's okay. I've got like 3 more hours until I can get to a tier K. But you know, if it becomes the gold standard to do presets and everything, then sure, have it at the for the medals for familiars also. But you know, but yeah, presets, yes, allowing you to increase hyperstats by multiple levels, please. If you don't do presets, at least let me do like level up to 12 or some shit, you know. I think having plus 5 HP hot swappable with 10 weapon defense is pretty useful. Oh god. Okay, burning maps are useful for character growth, but the standard that burning stages are maintained only decrease, do not increase from 10 PM to 8 AM the next day specified in the homepage guide is applied unfairly to users who play at night or early mornings that need to be improved. Wait, that's not a thing in GMS, is it? Because that would explain so much. Because I'm like... PST players have definitely not played for like the last 7 hours. but there's burning level 1 in these maps. And NA people are not playing right now. Like, how? Is that an actual thing in GMS too? Have they copied this? I don't actually know. Should we ask Ghibli? I'll message Ghibli and see if she can double check that for us. We got a message from May. May's alive. Ghibli. Do you guys remember May? Do you? No. Can you check with the team if this section from KMS is also a thing in GMS? Okay. Events like Blooming Moment and Maple Live Studio Go, which provide buffs at specific times, need to be extended to nights and early mornings. Yeah, just make everything around the clock. And I think it's good that they did that to Flag Race, finally, is to just be like at every half hour go, and not like between these hours and now there's 2 hours in between. And just make it around the clock so people can just play this game when they want to play the game, dude. It's necessary. Same with Ursus. Just make Ursus 24 hours around the clock. Well, then it's not a double event, I guess. No, not for Ursus. Sorry, I take that back immediately. It's necessary to provide an environment where users can flexibly manage play patterns by unifying the times when things in the game are reset. For example, the weekly boss reset time and guild content reset times are different, which cause confusion and limits play. The daily reset time also needs to be adjusted based on users' play patterns. I'm a little bit confused with this. Environment where users can flexibly manage play patterns by unifying the times when things in the game are reset. The time? Like the time of the day or the day of the week? Reset time and guild content reset time are different. But that's because the guild content just closes a little bit early, right? But yeah, I agree. Like, why not let it close on the day and then just go live an hour after instead of close it half an hour before and then open it half an hour after or something. I guess I can get behind that, but it's like a very minor point. Same thing with Dojo, right? Like Dojo, I think Guild PQ closes an hour before reset and Dojo closes half an hour before reset. Why not just close everything at reset? I think that makes more sense. Like general resets on Wednesday, bosses on Thursday. I think that is fine. And from the game standpoint, having different days when things reset is genius. Because gamers are procrastinators. Everyone does everything at the last moment. If everything resets at the same time, you won't be able to play all the content. If everything resets at the same time but on a different day, you'll be able to do everything on the last moment because every last moment will be a different moment. So you will play more content in the week. It's really smart. It's really genius. And we're getting super FOMO'd by that. Okay. The problem of bad manners in cross-world party quests, AFKing, or sabotage has occurred for multiple years. So it is necessary to change the daily limit to be based on clears like Monster Park or take separate action. Okay, I don't know if anyone even does cross-world PQ in GMS, so that's a pretty KMS specific thing. Since elite monsters drop Rebirth Flames, and not anymore, their duration should be changed from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. It is necessary to provide an environment where the supply of Rebirth Flames is greatly increased. Oh, right, so they don't despawn as quickly. Oh. Yeah, so lower level people have a better chance of actually killing them and getting more flames. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine. I do feel that for some characters it's like really hard to kill the elites and then they're gone before you even know it. Okay, I agree with that point. Request to add the ability to exchange lower level areas arcane symbols to higher level areas to provide a way to use surplus arcane symbols for reaching level 20. Concerns reaching level 20 I'm going to read on first before I give my spiel. Is meant to be taken as being able to move on from that area, so providing this benefit will require adjustment so that it does not become homework. But it will become homework, right? But I mean, yeah, this is also something that I've said like 3 years ago probably. that I think it would be cool if you could just keep doing dailies in an area where you've already cleared, and then you can use those with some kind of exchange ratio to level up the symbols of another area. Or instead of getting symbols from your dailies, you get droplets from your dailies instead, or something like that. I think there's something to be done with that if you wanted to, because they speed up the areas in the beginning, but by the time they're fully sped up and you clear them, then all of that extra value, that big value, is all gone immediately, and then you're stuck with 2 areas that have 8 symbols a day, and you're just waiting for events to speed it up. Not cool, yeah. But if you have some kind of exchange, even if it's like, and you have to be careful, like 8 to 1 or something would probably be fair. How many symbols do you get these days? You get 8, 16, 6, 22 in Vanishing Journey. We get 4, 8, 15, 23 in Choo Choo. By the time you have those maxed and you're at the last area, you can probably... A conservative estimate is you can probably clear floor 80? Let's say 70, actually. Let's say 70. So that's 7, 8, and 4 is 12 symbols in Lacaline. And then Arcana is... oh, dude. What? 69? No, I said 12. I didn't say plus first. God, you're so... shit. 12 plus 45 plus... Thank you. 8 plus 10 in Arcana. Yeah, so you're looking at 75. Maybe a 5 to 1. That would give you 15 extra symbols a day. Which means it would be like a split. Yeah, if you do 5 to 1, that would already allow you to double up the speed on Morass and Asphera. Yeah, so maybe 10 to 1 is more fair. Because like 50% increase is already really big. 10 to 1, because the reason I'm just doing these quick maths right now is like 10 to 1 exchange sounds horrible. And like, who would ever do that? But 10 to 1 would mean a 50% increase in both Morass and Asphera speed, which is huge. Yeah, I've got like 4 other things to get to before I get there, Mig, so no worries. And it's already 2 a.m. here, so that's not going to be for today. That's going to be for another day. Yeah, but yeah, the adjustment there. But I think, yeah, there's something to do there to pick up that value. But again, it will feel like homework, so I'm not sure if it's the right idea. But there could be something there. There could be something there. There's also going to be a Morass and Asphera PQ. Yeah, that's true. That's true. After so many years, though, we had to really fight, and KMS had to really fight to get another daily in that area. Then, discussion board. Enhanced background information of selecting a discussion topics. Necessary to give background information. Okay. Oh, the discussion board itself was the 3rd topic. That's why I didn't remember. Enhance development team's communication. Necessary to show the development teams direct reactions to the posts. So there's and that's going to be the next post that we're going to look at. And express their friendliness by giving more opportunities than right now to communicate with them. For content that is discussed a lot in discussion board, it is necessary to notify us with the criteria developer comments are selected based off of. Okay, yeah, just more insight in what are the decisive comments that they're using for their to base their feedback on, I guess. Rewards for users with presentations on discussion board. A suggestion to add a system where users can suggest discussion topics and development team can select and reward them so that more meaningful discussion topics can be selected. Sure. Measures to prevent, and then, but again, who do you let decide whether they're good suggestion topics? Do you let the development team decide that, or do you let the player base decide that, right? I think it'd be really cool if people throw up suggestions and then the player base upvote them, and then based on which topics the player base thinks are the most important, the development team rewards them for pointing out, like, this is the thing that the community right now is thinking about the most, and this is a topic that's like close to heart to most people that they want to see some progress in. I think that will be good. Sure belt. Measures to prevent duplicate posts. To prevent duplicate post separation, separate the opinion request board and the discussion board. Reorganize it so that the opinion request board, instead of up-down, add a new opinion. This is all like specifically, just like a logistics thing. Sure. You know, further working on the board is probably fine. Author identity verification to prevent anonymous authors from suggesting inappropriate discussion topics or affecting the atmosphere of the board. It is necessary to add a system that lets us clearly see the author's identity. Conversely, if the author's identity is clear, it should become a popularity. It could become a popularity vote, so it would be necessary to remove the current popularity ranking. Well, just make it so that it's visible to whoever is managing the board, but not necessarily to the people who are seeing the board, right? To the public. Necessary to supplement this with measures like not being able to search for previous posts so that people don't track them excessively. Yeah. People really do this, huh? People have got so little going on in their lives to be like, okay, who suggested this topic? This is a shit topic. Let's see what else they've discussed. Oh my god, it's probably this person because I can see the line. And then go harass them like on social media or some shit. Like, people really have time to do this stuff. Suggestion for... who am I kidding? This is like half of people's lives. Suggestion for additional communication methods. It is necessary to add a page that tracks error fixing progress and shares error fixing plans in advance. There is a confusing problem with when balance is only done for certain jobs and other jobs don't know when they will be patched. Okay, balance patches and convenience patches plans should be shared in advance. I mean, I would just assume that all characters at all times are always under review for being balanced. And only if balance changes are completely done, and when they feel like they are in a good position to be released, they will be released. It's like the same with classes. Like, a new class is always being created, like at all times. But you're only going to release it if you feel like it's worthy of being put into the game, right? That doesn't mean that everything has to be announced. Because I think there's certain... It kind of depends, because if a new class comes out, it doesn't really affect you as much. It can in your role, but not really as you in the game. Versus if there's a big skill change, it can affect where you would invest and what you would do. Yeah. I don't know. That one's tricky. You want to give people a heads up, but you also want to keep things exciting and keep things surprising. Where do you find a middle ground in that? That's kind of tricky. But I do, yeah. I do get the requests. But I would also not want like, oh, January, that's a new class. March, that's a balance patch for like every single explorer class. December, that's always a new skill. Or, you know, I don't want a schedule like that where it's just like, oh, well, let's see what do we have this month? Okay, well, tick the box, you know. I do like it that it's a little bit all over the place. Plus it gives them more freedom to develop things in a more organic manner. Plus as a player, you don't come to expect things, because then you're already expecting things beforehand, and then if they don't pan out, or they don't pan out whether they're there or they are there but they're not to the standard that you're used to, then you're going to be disappointed. And I'm always about like having the lowest possible expectations so you can be disappointed, okay? That's me. So, okay. Others. Posts with a large number of recommendations take up most of the attention as they are the most visible on the main page. So if a post receives a certain number of recommendations, they should be separated into a different board and managed. Okay, sure. Discussion board needs to be separated based on Reboot World and regular worlds as to concerns and considerations. Yes. Yeah, because the Reboot World suggestions necessarily will be lower than the non-Reboot ones in KMS because of the player base, which doesn't mean that it's less important, right? It's less people. It's less important, but also no. Like, it's the same level of priority because you're looking at percentage of the player base that plays in that server that thinks it's important versus like real numbers, right? That's you want to space that out. It is necessary to provide an environment where discussion can be conducted actively by letting users read and write their opinions through an optimized discussion board on the Maple mobile homepage or Maple Hands. Maple Hands? There's a bunch of maple leaves shaped like hands? Okay, I don't know. What... Is that like this? Golden hands? Give KMS Kana so we can... Yeah. That's probably right. This was a lot, and yeah, I know we waited like 2-3 weeks to go through this, but as someone who just read off a bunch of suggestions that I've already made myself, these were really great ideas. These guys are geniuses. You should definitely listen to all of the great ideas they have. And should definitely not disband the user advisory group for coming up with these amazing ideas. Yeah, I'm sure they gather from their community, maybe from other content creators. They gather like the best ideas and then suggest those, I think. But yeah, these are very well thought out, worked out. Even though some of these I cannot connect to in any way because of KMS disparity. Some of these I think are amazing, and some of these I think are kind of in a direction where I think there's something there, but they need to be worked out, fleshed out way more, as you would expect from a list like this. But yeah, overall, let me know what suggestion did you think was completely just dumb and idiotic, and there's like no way that should be there at all. You know, through the lens of GMS, KMS, taking that into consideration, and which suggestion do you think was actually really super based and should be put into the game immediately? You know, provided it was balanced properly and accessible to the right people, of course. I would like to know that, because this was a lot of information, and if you've gotten through all of this, you're a trooper, all right? You're a real trooper. You're a real G. So yeah, I was planning on doing all 4 of these things in one video. No, we're not doing that because it's already super late. But I will go through the other things as well and give you the updates. So we still have the discussion board opinions and developer comments about the first discussion topic. So from the side of the developers and from the side of the discussion board people, so from the people in KMS, not just from the advisory group, and then a post about early termination of the advisory group. Actually, we can read this one right now because it's really short, and I think these two should probably be seen together. And then we have this one left. So this is from August 4th, so that's only 2 weeks after after this whole list was posted, which was of course weeks after that information was gathered. New notice has been posted announcing an advisory group, like not very new. Actually, only 2 days ago. Well, 1 day ago, actually. This is hot off the press. Not that hot. Bunch of drama surrounding them, including things mentioned in the last apology notice, and certain numbers of and certain other stuff like certain members being underqualified or doing bad things without being punished accordingly. Oh, God. At the time as this notice, Nexon updated the post. I mean, I take all this thing with a grain of salt because a bunch of people were trying to get me canceled off the Beam Brigade because I got banned for my bulge thing. Even though there was like the swimming pool meta right after, and people are just so fucking petty. So I mean, I take all of this with like a huge grain of salt. So because people were unironically like messaging Nexon that they should like kick me from the Beam Brigade because I got banned on Twitch for something that was so silly. So you know, people can be super petty and just have nothing better to do with their lives, so I'm not sure about all of that. Next one, updated the post of the user advisory group. Yeah, since the user advisory group felt their thoughts were not adequately explained. Okay. I won't translate the additions, but basically it's just things like who suggested, agreed, disagreed with what, and some more elaboration on why they did so. Right, okay, some more context of this is not what everyone agreed with. This is like, this could be an individual user's addition to the feedback, and it doesn't necessarily reflect the opinion of everyone in the user advisory group. Oh god, yeah, that's another moving part that they are now getting rid of with this, which is probably good. Other than that, there should be a KMST patch tonight. Yeah, so that's the one that went live just now, so we're also going to look at that tomorrow. Including a new boss, as well as some of the changes that the development team mentioned in their last notice. So that's going to be this one that we are not looking at, but also going to look at tomorrow. Those members we sadly regret to inform you that we have decided to end the user advisory group's activities earlier than we originally planned. I think they set out to do it for 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even a year. But yeah, what did I get out of Twitch? I was doing a cooking stream, and people were like noticing that the camera from the side, they could see my bulge in my shorts. So I put my bulge on my kitchen counter and be like, "Ugh," where basically you could, you know, it was a bulge. There was like an outline, I guess. But it was, you know, there were 2 layers of clothing. There was like nothing visible whatsoever. And that was just it. That was all it was. And apparently enough people saw it to make an emote on it on the Reboot Central. They spread the emote around. Apparently enough people saw it to report me on Twitch, and then people got me banned. And after that, even people would, you wish you saw it. It's still live on YouTube, and it's on my cooking video on YouTube. Enough people also thought it was adequate enough to be like, well, because he got banned on Twitch, that must mean he has, for 3 days, that must mean he has to get cancelled everywhere and to try to kick me off the Beam Brigade. But that's also why I was, I did get my privileges for, well, I did get my privileges, but I didn't get my NX for a month on the Beam Brigade. And that's also why I was not in MapleFest video at that point, because I was disinvited from that because of that reason. Of course, I couldn't say too much about it at the time, because the more you talk about it directly, the more you feed the trolls, and the more they're like, oh wow, our bogus shit reports actually have an effect. And they actually do. I don't know if it was like 50 people or if it was 1 or 2. I don't know what the process is at all. But in general, I'm saying this mainly to you guys. If you think I'm doing a good job and you want to give me positive feedback, don't hesitate to like reach out to Nexon and be like, hey, Scardor does nice things also, right? Because if the only feedback you get is from people who think negative things, it's very easy to think that the overall experience is negative. And this is why I'm saying also, like, if you don't like something, just ignore it. If you do like something, be vocal about it and let the person know that you like it. You don't have to like donate, don't have to subscribe, and don't have to throw money at someone, but just leave a nice comment or message someone that is associated with it, like, oh, this is cool stuff, right? That can go a very long way. Way longer than like throwing a bunch of money on someone or like donating $1,000 or something. Not that money isn't helpful, but that can have a way bigger impact on like overall. So like letting someone know that I'm associated with, like, that you like my comment, that you appreciate it, like my content, that can go way further, because that can counteract like bad actors and trolls and people who are trying to cancel me, right? And I never thought that I would have people actively trying to cancel me, being as small of a content creator in as small of a community that I'm in. But maybe the most extreme people are in those small network communities. I don't know. We talked about people needing to touch grass earlier in the stream and how all that's going. So, you know, maybe some of that applies here. But back to what we're talking about. Our development team decided that it was important to consider the user point of view when determining the direction MapleStory should take in the future. Like I said already before, a lot of the player base was very hesitant with this setup from the get-go. So we want to hear the voices of many players throughout the discussion board, while at the same time organizing a small group and a user advisory group to hear more in-depth stories and a closer look. User advisory group who started activities in this way gave a variety of opinions based on their concerns for the future of MapleStory, and we shared them through the first discussion topics notices. Their opinions were very helpful in guiding development direction. I totally understand all of this, though. Like, if I was in a user advisory group, like, let's say that ever happened, and I was in there, I am very sure that a lot of the suggestions that I have would not be supported by a lot of other people, and a lot of things that a lot of other people have, I would have a lot of issues with. And I would probably be, a lot of the times will be the one, like, I don't agree with this, but I have my own thing, and then other people be like, okay, that's cool, but we don't agree with that. And so it's very tricky, even for a small amount of people, for a small group of people with very strong opinions. It might be even stronger to agree than like a large group of people who don't really have strong opinions, right? However, said in the apology, the user advisory group could not operate smoothly because of the development team's negligence and this disappointment a lot of players. Oh, they're throwing it onto the development team. Okay. Scapegoat right there. In a situation where we, the development team, did not give enough trust to our players, we felt a heavy responsibility for putting this burden on the user advisory group, who spent a lot of time and effort in their activities. Okay, that's to make up for the money that they gave them to make sure that that feels adequate. We think that it would be unreasonable to maintain the user advisory group any longer. Therefore, due to the development team's inadequate preparations and insufficient operation, it has been decided that from today, August 4th, the user advisory group's activities will be terminated early. Before termination, we have conducted a detailed investigation into the user advisory group's members' activities and have taken action in accordance with our operation policy for any problematic areas. Because there was one person who like broke their NDA by telling that they got paid, right? So they probably had some consequences for that. This time there are no plans for a second user advisory group. Damn. No people from GMS in there. My hopes and dreams are shattered. We're planning to lead the future development direction based on the various opinions given by users through the discussion board and the thoughts of the development team. That's probably okay for now, and I think the KMS community in general is happier with that than the three-party system that they were having. User advisory group will return to being regular users. The penalty for violating our operation policy are applied equally to all MapleStory users. However, if there were any other shortcomings during the user advisory group's activities before it was the fault of the individual members, it was the fault of the development team for not operating the user advisory group more meticulously. We hope that the excessive criticism of individuals will not leave any scars between users. We apologize once again for our inadequate operation and of the user advisory group. We'll be a MapleStory that continues to listen to our players' opinions. Thank you. Like I said, I think it could have worked if set up properly. Having those 3 parties work, it would have required a lot of open communication, way more than they did, and it would require just like a lot of back and forth and an open structure that would be flexible, like open to change. It would be flexible. But for now, I think this is probably the best thing for them to do with how opposed the community is. It was antagonistic, I would almost say, towards the user advisory group setup and how that worked and how Nexon handled it. This is probably the best way to go. They're still in damage repair mode, so I completely understand that they do this at this point. That being said, I thought all of this user advisory group, well, not all, but like most of the user advisory group stuff that we just went over, their comments, I thought most of them were really good suggestions in general. So, you know, maybe the community is a little bit too worried for nothing, but that doesn't take their worry away, right? You still need to have, you know, the main thing that Nexon is the mode now of we need to be listening to the player base. And if the player base says we don't want like an elite group of Maplers speaking for us, then you have to take that away. You know, even if the people that what those people are saying is actually what the player base wants or even needs. If the people say that they don't want it, and you're saying we're going to listen to the people, then you have to get rid of it. So, all in all, think it could have worked. Didn't work out. This is probably for the best for now. Hopefully they turn a new page with all of that, and hopefully the player base feels like they're being listened to, as they should be. So, yeah, with all of that, just buy Nexon. I have enough money for all of Nexon. I don't know, man. That's a lot of cash. I don't know if I quite have that dough. Maybe if Reno pitches in a little bit, maybe Noah pitches in, maybe Smidley. You know, with the core, maybe Mirio has some money. Maybe if we get like 10 or 15 of the core of the community, we got all of them together. Everyone pitch in, we buy it, and then we start fixing it. Great idea. But yeah, so that's user advisory group stuff from 2 weeks ago, and then also the cancellation right after that. I don't know, roller coaster of emotions. So there's still the feedback of the discussion board people and of the team to go over, this NX stuff, and this just in hot off the presses. Also, KMS Tespia, new boss, Guardian Angel Slime. Haven't looked at that at all yet, but we're also going to go over that tomorrow. So a lot more stuff coming from KMS towards you guys, so keep an eye out, and I'll include the links for everything if you want to go over anything, of course, in the description. But let me know what you thought about everything. Just opinion on everything, just anything I can do to get you to comment on this video. No, I do enjoy reading the comments though, so I will be going over my YouTube comments again. I do that like twice a week. I go over everything, so while I still can. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was informational for you guys. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you tomorrow for updates on all